Now on the CTV News at 5, thousands of Alberta kids are back to school today amidst a possible teacher strike or lockout. Plus, the province pauses its book ban policy. And damage to the Whoop-Up Drive Bridge is worse than first thought.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. It was a day full of excitement and nerves as students headed back to class for a new school year. While many were looking forward to seeing their friends and learning, parents have been left in uncertainty as a potential teacher strike looms. Carson Marsouk reports.
This group of safety patrollers spent their first morning back to school helping other students start a new year off safely.
I feel pretty good about it.
I feel good because I'm helping out the community.
Tuesday marked the return to classes for the Lethbridge School Division and Holy Spirit Catholic School Division.
Happy because I see my friends.
And while students are eager to be back in class, some parents say the end of summer has been unnerving.
It definitely brings a bit of uncertainty as we start the school year, but still lots of excitement for the first day. And we're hopeful for a great school year and obviously hopeful that our year isn't disrupted too much as we start off. I guess we'll see what happens though.
It's kind of hard not knowing what's going to happen to prepare, but it's okay. Hopefully it won't happen, but if it does, we'll handle it.
Late Friday afternoon, the provincial bargaining team voted in favor of a lockout. It's now waiting for approval from the Alberta Relations Labour Board.
When your livelihood is a little bit unsure, along with some other changes in legislation coming into effect this year and all of the different pieces that are on teachers' plates, they're doing their best to manage all of that, but it definitely can weigh on people for lots of different reasons.
The ATA, which is bargaining for smaller class sizes, increase in teachers, and better pay, says no strike action will be taken yet. While a potential labor dispute is looming, the Lethbridge School Division says its operations will continue as normal.
We will share information as soon as we have it available, and that we're going to figure this out together. We know it's a time of uncertainty, but for right now, we're going to focus on the excitement of the new school year.
Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Meanwhile, the province is pausing its book ban policy on the first day of school as some teachers emptied out bookshelves before students even arrived. Last week, Edmonton School Board indicated over 200 books would be pulled off its school library shelves, including many Canadian classics, because of the province's definition of sexually explicit material under its new policy. Now, other schools felt they had to cover all books until it could be determined which ones, if any, were sexually explicit and all books were catalogued. The principal at Lacombe School offered boxes of books for free to the public, saying they just didn't have the staff to comply with the minister's order. Margaret Atwood weighed in with a scathing response after her novel The Handmaid's Tale was caught up in the banning. She says the education minister believes kids are, quote, stupid babies. The premier says the goal of the directive has always been to get pornographic images out of school libraries and leave the classics on the shelves.
Well, it'll be paused for a couple of hours while the ministerial order is rewritten. The direction will be to take books with pornographic images out of the libraries and to leave the classics alone. I think that there was some misunderstanding of the order.
The education minister emailed all school boards that officials should pause any development or distribution of lists of books that are to be removed. Demetrios Nicolaides says the pause is in effect until further notice. And with school back in session, the city of Lethbridge and Lethbridge Police are reminding drivers to be extra vigilant on the roads. All playground and school zones are harmonized with school zones across the city. The 30-kilometer-per-hour zones are in effect from 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. all year round. Along with the zones, safety patrollers will be out and about around schools to help students and parents cross the road safely.
It is really important, the job that they do every day. They're out there, they're making eye contact with drivers, they're helping kids get across the street safely, reminding pedestrians that it's point, pause and proceed in their procedure, as well as helping the kids with that as they cross.
Last year was a tough year. We had a number of students struck on their way to school, so this is hugely important. It seems small, but it's huge. And so it's really great to be able to support the other youth and taking a leadership role and helping out and contributing to their school, their community.
For parents dropping off their kids for the first day, the AMA says consider parking further away from the school to help reduce traffic and keep pedestrians safe. And grade school students weren't the only ones back in class today. Lethbridge Polytechnic held its new student orientation ahead of its fall semester tomorrow. Hundreds of students took part in the day. New student orientation gives students a look at life as part of the Polytechnic community. Throughout the day, students were able to meet fellow classmates, tour around their program areas, and prepare themselves for the official start tomorrow. This semester also marks the beginning of 3 new programs being offered at the Polytechnic.
We endeavour to have programs that are relevant for industry and that are high demand for students. Areas of agriculture, health and science are really high demand areas, so really ensuring that we have programs that will support employment for local industry and obviously areas that students can have jobs once they finish their programs.
As for the University of Lethbridge, new student orientation will run 4 days rather than only 1. The institution says with a change in their academic schedule, the extended orientation options became available. Classes at the U of L, those begin next Monday. And some students in northern Alberta will have a long way to go for school today because of wildfires destroying half of their community buildings earlier this year. More than 24 elementary and high school students from Chippewan Lake have to trek 135 kilometers to attend classes in Wabaska. Now, that is each way. The head of the Northland School Division says this is the 2nd year in a row students have to do this. The superintendent says while Chippewan Lake School was spared from the flames, it's not safe to attend. About 100 people who live in Chippewan remain under an evacuation order. The Reeve of the area says a recent flyover shows a total of 62 structures burned down and include homes, cabins, and a senior center. All right, let's check in with Danielle Savoni to talk about the forecast and, of course, all that smoke out there, Danielle.
Yeah, so very exciting first day to school, but in this swath of smoky air, not the most ideal conditions. Now, earlier today, this morning, especially closer to 9, 10 in the morning, in the Lethbridge area, we were at a 10 plus, which is the top end of the scale. Medicine Hat was at a 10. We are going to improve, but this is going to be a slow go here, and you're looking at waves of this. So there's that chart there. 10 plus is really the highest it gets. I'm going to play this through for the rest of the next couple of days here, and you can see it does start to improve in the southeast corner, especially by Friday. But again, you're looking at on and off waves as we go, and that really is on and off right through Friday. Now, because we had the smoke, temperatures didn't climb quite as high. We're in those lower 20s, as you can see here, but it should be hotter tomorrow because we should have less smoke tomorrow, but still smoky at times. More details on that coming up, Jackie.
Okay, thanks, Danielle. Well, nearly 10 months after a 23-year-old Calgary woman died after she was found along a northeast Calgary pathway, police have charged a Cranbrook man. Jalissa Mashke was found unresponsive in the early hours of December 9th, 2024 in Nose Creek. She later died in hospital. Police say their investigation led them to believe Mashke's death was the result of an altercation several hours before. Police have charged a 29-year-old Cranbrook man with manslaughter. It is not believed that Mashke knew the suspect. Nehema Walter John Osland is in custody and will be transported to Calgary to appear before a judge. Police continue their appeal for information in the case. Premier Danielle Smith is in Medicine Hat tonight as the Alberta Next panel tours southern Alberta. She will be hosting the event to discuss grievances with the federal government and talk about the topic of Alberta separation. Now, at some previous town halls, there were cheers for mass deportations and for the idea of separation, but in others, the panel has faced harsh criticism and protests. Over the next month, additional town halls will be held in Lethbridge, September the 11th, then in Airdrie, Grand Prairie, and Calgary. A greenhouse near Medicine Hat is about to get even more efficient through funding from the Emissions Reduction Alberta. $2.2 million is being given to Big Marble Farms to install new state-of-the-art horticultural grow lights. The lights will save almost $2 million in utility costs and produce 4,600 fewer tons of emissions. New technologies available through these provincial grants will allow southern Alberta greenhouses to produce more food year-round.
With $2.2 million in funding support through Emissions Reduction Alberta, Big Marble Farms is installing 5,000 new grow lights this fall. With these upgrades, Big Marble will grow more vegetables faster and at a lower cost.
High energy costs and outdated technology put a strain on greenhouse operators, making it even harder to provide fresh local produce in every season. Well, the city of Lethbridge says damage to the Whoop-Up Drive bridge is actually worse than first thought. The city says the most damaged girder is cracked, bent in, and caved in. Supports are in place to make sure it doesn't get worse. The city is now working to revise its repair plans and ensure they can complete it quickly and in a way that will support the long-term integrity of the bridge. Peak hour lane changes will remain in place as bridge rehabilitation work continues.
Whoop-Up Drive is still safe to be on, yeah. We had the inspectors look at it, and with the additional actions that we've taken, reducing the speed limit and reducing the lanes and supports, it is safe to use, yes.
The city anticipates the bridge rehabilitation project will be complete by early October. While the sun is still shining and temperatures are hot, the city of Lethbridge is actually getting ready for its winter operations. Residents who live along a snow route are now able to sign up for the Windrow Assistance Program. Snow clearing practices were adjusted during the last 3 winter seasons and have resulted in significant cost savings with more residential roads plowed. More often, the city will be delivering postcards to homes along snow routes over the coming weeks. Anyone interested in using the program can call 311 before October the 10th. And stateside, a top White House official is confident the U.S. Supreme Court will declare Donald Trump's tariffs legal. The comments come from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent after the Federal Appeals Court ruled that most of the tariffs are illegal. Trump's trade advisor Peter Navarro also slammed the ruling, warning that if tariffs are struck down, it will, quote, be the end of this country. The court has allowed the tariffs to remain in place through October 14th to give the Trump administration a chance to file an appeal with the Supreme Court. Well, right after this break, Danielle returns and she will have the 5-day forecast for you. Also, we'll have some of the unique challenges teachers may face with students going to school for the first time.
Well, it's not quite as hot, certainly smoky out there for today in many communities in the south. There is a smoke warning in place for most communities in the south as well, especially all of the far south. 21 degrees was the high in Calgary for today. Again, because we had such smoky conditions, we didn't get enough sun to heat things up like it typically would have for today. 19 degrees for Regina and Saskatoon, 21 in Edmonton, certainly different than when we kicked off last week. Cranbrook, you can see, so on the BC side, less smoke, 33 degrees was the high, but on the Alberta side, where all that smoke is basically being filtered down, being held in by the mountains and moving on in and settling right here for us. So it's here to stay on and off anyway. You'll notice some times when it may be a little bit better, but at times it will be quite smoky once again, and we could get back to that 10 plus on the scale as we go through these next 24 hours here and there. So those low 20s for temperatures right now because of this. This is the warning in place because of the smoke, and it includes Empress down and through Medicine Hat down to the U.S. border, Brooks included over to Calgary, and then up because the smoke is just being funneled in here and then sticking around and moving off into Saskatchewan as well at this point. I showed you this already, but as you can see, there will be waves. So play this through, but 10 plus is where we were in Lethbridge this morning, and 10 for Medicine Hat and many other communities in the far south. So that's the worst part of the scale. That's the higher risk part of the scale. So if you have any sort of underlying conditions, it's best not to go outside and breathe any of this in. And if you don't have underlying conditions, you're also supposed to limit outdoor activity. All right, so on and off. This is a look at Wednesday later in the day, and you can see it looks like we get a break from this, but then we have another wave that will roll back in as well. Because we have systems tracking off to the east, it's pulling that air in from the north. There's one of those systems off to the east here. So clear, other than the smoke. Not a whole lot to worry about with regards to any sort of precipitation or thunderstorm activity, but we are looking at smoky conditions on and off as we go through here these next couple of days. All right, and then some cloud cover pushing in potentially here and there as well during those breaks. But overall, we're not looking at the active weather. We're just looking at smoky conditions here and there. For the East Kootenay area, with the humidex tomorrow feeling like 37, you're looking at that hazy sky, but of course, better air quality on the BC side in comparison to what's going on here. For the most part anyway, 34 degrees, again, feeling more like 37. That's overly hot. Okay, local smoke for Crow's Nest Pass area, which means smoky at times, and then at times it'll be okay. 31 degrees is the high for tomorrow, and you should get some peaks of sunshine throughout the day. Similar idea for Medicine Hat, local smoke at times, and a high of 31. The reason we should get into the 30s tomorrow, Lethbridge included, as you can see here, is because we should get more breaks from the smoke tomorrow in comparison to today. We drop down to 23 for Thursday, and we remain in those 20s as we go through the rest of the work week.
As kids head back to school, a new report is sounding the alarm that risks to their well-being are on the rise. The Raising Canada report says more than 70% of kids between 12 and 17 experienced bullying in the last year. As well, more than 13% were living in poverty by the end of 2024. That is the highest level this country has seen since 2017. Additionally, while 71% of teachers report acting to prevent bullying, only 25% of students feel supported by teachers at school. Other threats to youth outlined in the report include childhood mistreatment, vaccine-preventable illnesses, racism, and climate change. Now, this school year has another unusual twist. The latest crop of kindergarten students were born during the pandemic, and that might pose a very unique challenge for educators. They are the so-called COVID babies, those little ones born in 2020 and early 2021. They could be a distinctive challenge for teachers since their formative months and years were spent during lockdown, wearing masks and with limited social interaction. Some school divisions tell us they are aware that students may require more work in social skill development, and staff is ready to pivot to accommodate for the crop of 5-year-olds.
Some teachers and schools may see a few extra kids struggling with patience, turn-taking, expressing their needs, those type of things. But university, most kids have done really well, but there's a few kids on the edges that will take a little bit more time to learn those skills.
School officials also acknowledge COVID babies may be well versed in communication technology like FaceTime, having used these tools a lot more because of the pandemic separation. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, Lethbridge Hurricanes preseason action starts tonight. Welcome back. Well, the Lethbridge Hurricanes are set to open their preseason action tonight when they welcome the Medicine Hat Tigers to the visitlethbridge.com arena. Now, the Canes will play a total of 5 exhibition games, including 3 at home. The Canes enter tonight's game with a 39-man roster, including 25 forwards, 11 defensemen, and 3 goaltenders. Following tonight's game, the Canes will host the Calgary Hitmen tomorrow. Tickets for the preseason games are $10 each, and puck drop is set for 7 o'clock. The University of Lethbridge Pronghorn soccer teams, they kicked off their season this past weekend. A tough start for the men as they'd lose 3-2 to the University of Calgary Dinos Friday. The women's team would open their season with a tie against the University of Alberta Pandas. On Sunday, the women would record their first loss of the season against the Pandas, while the men's game against the Mount Royal University Cougars ended in a tie. Well, the horses have landed ahead of the 50th anniversary of Calgary's Spruce Meadows Masters that starts tomorrow. A record 98 horses arrived at the International Animal Lounge at YYC, accompanied by a host of groomers and vets. History is also being made with a record $5 million prize purse for Sunday's competition. That's the biggest single-day event sporting payout in Canada this year, and the largest ever in show jumping, according to Spruce Meadows.
Spruce Meadows is for everyone. It's a family affair, but it is going to have great entertainment, great sport. We have the British band, we have honor guard. We marry tradition with what's new in the sport, and so I would invite everybody to just join with us and celebrate 50 years at Spruce Meadows.
Ahead of the competition, Spruce Meadows hosted a preview event on Monday with corgi races, a hobby horse competition, and musical entertainment. The Masters run September 3rd through the 7th. The Dash and Dash wrapped up the harness racing season at Century Downs this weekend. More than 50 wiener dogs competed, with the top 4 dogs and their owners taking home prize baskets. Alberta Dash and Rescue and Parachutes for Pets both benefited from the fundraising event. Now, many dogs retrieve balls, but this one retrieves bats.
That is one good dog. He needs some treats.
June is her local baseball team's MVP. The Yuba Sutter High Wheelers baseball team in Marysville, California have made June their bat dog. She uses her retrieval instincts for bat dog duties. The crowd goes wild for her work, probably because she is just so darn fetching. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, not only is it busy time for parents and teachers, school bus drivers, they're getting back behind the wheel. We've got one driver's full circle moment when we return. Well, now to a very unique story. The story is about a Wisconsin school bus driver and the students who have traveled on her bus through the years. Kim Lidholm has that story.
Adeline Deck waits for the school bus.
It's relaxing almost. Sometimes the bus gets just so loud though.
Like thousands of students will in just a few days.
Just nervous about what I'm gonna learn, how the kids in the class will be, how my teachers will be.
But this route has a familiar face for Adeline before she even makes it to school.
My motto is if you ride my bus, I consider you one of my own kids.
Jill Radke is driving Adeline's route.
I never thought a bus driver would drive a bus so long.
It's, heartwarming for me, at least.
Because years ago, Jill was also Adeline's parents' bus driver.
Brings back memories, though.
Yeah, it does. Even the smell.
So many years since I've been on a bus.
We sat right next to each other and started chit-chatting, and before you know it, we'd hang out after getting off the bus.
She's getting close to the driveway and we weren't out there, that horn would come on, absolutely.
They just met on the bus and they continued to date, and now we're here.
Jill driving the parents on the nearly 1 hour ride to and from school.
Oh, riding the bus in middle school. Started in 6th grade. Had some very exciting times on the bus.
I'd sit there and, I'd be driving, looking up, wondering what they're doing back there.
As the years went,
I saw 2 young kids from middle school all the way through high school develop, evolve, grow up, change.
And now,
I ride the bus.
It's a full circle moment, starting on these same roads just a few decades ago. In Eau Claire County, Kim Lidholm, WEAU 13 News.
Those school bus drivers, very important to us. Well, thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.